first. I'm really excited to be up here in front of you reading with Andrea, who I went to undergrad with, so we go way back. We were baby poets together, so it's really cool that she's here. And Erin and Moure, who I've been reading for a while and love a lot, so this is very cool for me. I'm going to read a little bit from Fault Trait and then a little bit from Writing Biology. If I have time and the voice left, I'll read a little bit from the new manuscript that I'm working on. But it seems a little ambitious, you know, for this night with my sore throat, so we'll see. But one common denominator among all the work is that I'm a little bit obsessed with how we create space in the world, outside of ourselves and inside of ourselves, and how the two are related. And I think there are other things that come up in it too, but that's one of the big ones that comes across them all. And I think it'll become obvious, but all right. Fault Trait. Once the moment came, it was too late to go back to the moments before it. That's the problem with time. We can't control it. It had been my desire to remain in the pre-moment state, but time disallowed this vehemently. I took precautions. I invested in the pre-moment. I built a future in the moment that came before the moment that undid the future that was never to be a moment. And now I walk away from the non-moment, directly toward foreseeable moments. It is the commonness that kills me, each moment. It has been hard living since the pre-moment. Daily reminders of the same things, the daily wait. There isn't much here that I don't know, that I'm not accustomed to. Sometimes I wonder if maybe I'm supposed to be learning to appreciate the beating that the daily habits of others inflicts upon me. Perhaps I was too pleased with myself before the moment. The moment was like falling asleep. Sometimes I think I am asleep before the sleep's duration. Book 1. Want is a stationary clock, involution. Epigraph. Every particular actual thing lays upon the universe the obligation of conforming to it. We conform to our bodily organs and to the vague world which lies beyond them. A.N. Whitehead. In order to get off the island, you first have to build an airstrip that is long enough for the biplane to build up enough speed to take off. The island is not at any point long or wide enough to build an airstrip for the biplane to take off. Therefore, you are not leaving this island. The show was canceled because we were all killed last night. We are to be at the studio by 8:30 a.m. and you are still in your boxer shorts. The car is coming to pick us up to take us to the studio. I know you are embezzling money into a private account, $26 million. Last night, I was shot through the head, 3 times clean through, and then the heart. But the sponsors have made a huge stink, and we are to be at the studio in approximately 33 minutes, and you are in your boxers. You must be conniving with those legs of yours. This is the past. We are in the past, and in the past I am alive. They slit my throat, too. There through time. The flat world is hard for the facing. I walk into things before I know I'm there. I see what I think I see. Engagement takes practice. My hand, outstretched, reaches to touch your hand, also outstretched, but no touch, only air. A person can be a dot. A dot against a background might as well be the background, and you are gone now. A wall, a painting, a kitchen counter, my blind spot. Of course, one could make the argument that you were never there, which is problematic for me, being situated more or less outside of you, who may or may not be there or anywhere. If you exist in the future, then I am chasing you or just behind. For example, if the placement of clocks takes place prior to the synchronization of clocks, then time cannot be in agreement. However, If clock A is synchronized to clock B, and clock C is synchronized to clock A, and then post-synchronization, all clocks are placed, only then will I know if I am chasing you, or you are chasing me. Could you maybe shimmer, so I can hold a place? Or am I now just mere? Am I now of nothing, or not much of anything, or am I now a speck of something that was? There through space. For the sake of language, we are not keeping time. A foundation-built counter, the binding of what is perceived is bent, actually is bent, but you won't see it hanging there, drawn. Outside sounds like rain, but is rocks, pebbles hitting bowls of water. We, through definition, stall. Stall is mental poise, two reeds bedded down, the open, out of stutter, all lay low, keep still, stand, closed eyes. Then, as now, we cannot see, so cannot be seen. That train line was never meant to go through town. The politicians had said one thing while padding another thing, as we all know. We waited on a politician's survival mechanism to engage, but so few are real animals that it was not a big surprise when it didn't. And tracks were laid, and trains were running, and the town was divided. People who were family, people who were friends, people who were haters of each other, each had to resolve themselves with a different center. A place divided in half, now twin-tracked nuclei. What is observed is not always what is perceived. Here, we are conductor. As force moves a sum, here depends. We imagine precise equal rest together, the means moving bodies relatively, the earth infilled, in as much as union rests, emanations render, unmuted, an inkling. So I sealed wells, but they spring. The noises I made begat matter. Atoms accumulated from within. A perforation appearing, I, wrenched in pain, spoke words, each one dropping from my new hole with mass and sound. Soon the atoms of others' words fell, but no one saw. This happened in the future when I am alive. The words were elements. Each atom making up the word was the word itself. So if one spewed of hate, one built hate, and if another spewed of immobility, one was static. I spewed time, and time became itself. During the war, I was stationed in Hawaii. I didn't see much of anything except water and sun, which gave me these freckles that would have to be burned off my face and back when I was in my 70s, but that's another story. This guy didn't want to go to war. I don't know why he was there. He thought it was wrong. He had to be there. He thought war was wrong. I don't remember. It was this war or just war or something he was opposed to. But anyway, I was a smoker then. It was the last year of the war. We didn't know that, of course. And I was 18 and in Hawaii with plenty of cigarettes and sun and this guy who didn't want to go to war, even though we were on an island, even though here we were at war. So this guy gets me called in. He got everybody called in. They had to put us through all this rigmarole to find out if the conscientious objector, that was his name and rank as I understand it, had infiltrated more than just our base. Well, we all get called in, and I say to the officer, I disagree with the conscientious objector, but, you know, he has a right to his opinion. So I get held back, and this guy gets held back, and everyone else goes off on some assignment. And, well, they didn't come back. I guess he saved my life. I didn't smoke cigarettes so much as drop them in the ocean. They were rationed to us. The government wanted us lit up so we could light up, which is important when you're being taught to kill or having to think about killing, having been raised not to think or kill. When I said the word, I felt the word, coming out a little easier, words through the small perforations of my body. Many people are at the bottom of the thing, supporting the top, working against the natural laws of this place for progress. That's how it goes with skyscrapers and words. Before I realized it, what I said was before me. You probably wonder why it is so easy for you to believe this, or you should. A saying, monument of one, words became. Remember, we are organic, the reactant, the product, a compound, resoundant space particulate. Suffice it to say, each space was made a place of words, and each place was made a container of us. We made it this way. But we imagine it is of words. If time is the position of hands, simultaneity's body is wrapped, an imperceptible equating of breath, and outside of words. The I entity so creates escape. Artifacts between us make space. Echo, articulation, reflection, light, refraction, lesson. When asked, the present writer speaks silence, a synthetic permutation of erasure. I've been asked to guard the very monument I resented building, then enslaved as now. I shall defend the symbols of my oppressors in order to feed my family. These are couplets, thus a love poem. My strife is a tourist attraction. The #1 only income-generating industry has been my oppression, a sensitive state to the needs of its people. In my dream, the man's face was distorted. He was bleeding gruesome gore, splayed across the snow, the gore, the kind you see with substance, dark red meaty blood. The man needed me to help him, but he was the enemy, so I let him bleed to death in the snow. His eyes, knowing he was to die painfully then, he wanted me to kill him, but I wanted him to suffer, so I bled him in the snow. It was just over there, past that line of trees. The site is now part of my daily detail, my daily guarding of the plight of us. I see the same place I let someone die. Remember, I am a bitter, petty man. He would have done the same for me. This is in couplets, a love poem with blood and snow. And this is from Write Me Biology. The new history calling rewrites for them, having had all story adjusted as such, teach the peoples what they will knows by rote repeating. No disclaimer in time, it wills be not the new, but thee. We, having drawn taut lines about the mindfulness as such group identity, do not escape the fundamentals of who we is made to be, one fiscal determinant. There being one body, we finds it by extension, the true satisfactionist, financialist, accountable to berate the land, use destructive isms, charged by sessions, wreckage dispense, the factory forward-thinking sanctions dispute against they, not we, calling all winds and chimes tunnel beneath fanfare, pipeline eruption, the shining frustration that we is unsure contagion culture, not building, and in wider white, having fury and calling them armed, fighting with the word as conquest, as a service. The nation, we the true calling, up to arms for calm, a peace with solitary resistances, speaks. The new history speaks it, calls it a stammer, that Freudian situationism. In diesel politicking, we all goes how we goes, whom right thinking places aspire, transgressive isms, of a people's unspoken, of a people's wants, of a people's free reign. Pretense. Red and white of the radio tower, we is prime untenable space, consequence of entering set. Purple Mountains America is uniforms and bricks, ideal locomotive, can be organized as well as disevidenced behind text in the atoms of the white surface we inhales. We, placed in parts in a stadium structure of capitalist intent, no such apparatus riding, only prime density diesel. We is a working number that neuters. having had grief bare, said speaker thought sexual with a fast story. Oh, F it, the object, diesel burns. The building, a dove, offers her body, a name, while sadistic, outer being rift between falling on land without resentment. Shining animals, stricken libido-driven, we, having had grief and right new biology, this ality, now a person, aching. When we is bereft of place, we upends places. Try too to be so hard sought, substructure is bottom, is 80% of not just, this of not just, this politic body drawn geographic of not just alone vernacular squint through angst. For them that were, eyes, elder Philo leave less dim, the academy of remaindering dower, but with language, phrasing. That engine, is it one we wills? Reality, three stark, three answers, integrity, existence, and method. A drunken, realistic sign, but with language. In the pipes, a high whine through the central passage under out of street furor, through the solutions bailing, alone wise, in like mind or kind genetics, hearing, ruined, how it before then was a fetish of mere acres. We hasn't the hearing, that day's switch and ill-fervent wish has this, the self-halting question, the spirit that has shined, when betoning the all's perversion, that reality spakes, it speaketh a gentle, twice broken, neurotic, the bipartisan's glimmer, a twinkle. Eyes likens the symptoms of seas as function, as indulgence, as all-out waters oceans, as incremental distribution instrumental now under blunt signs crossed backwards, falling over and auctioned. At the bottom 80, so it is damning of the 100, of the whole dam, that place that we is bereft of, one be placeless and not one. We is a single thread, all hung at a slant. And this is from Civil Engineering, it's just 3 pages. And I wrote this for Charles Weigel, because we were talking about the election a lot before it happened. The epigraph is, persons are far larger domains than is generally believed, from Arakawa and Kings. The thing is, the contract is finite, but we signed too, disbelieving parasympathetic and all hung out the cardiac flags of the firmly entrenched. We knows they never waver. This is the constitutional remix. This is reality by consensus, that we is within us's inevitable lurch. The rector of us's equanimity, questions are acceptable now, accepted, expected, and this inevitable, ubiquitous lurch. The physiological need for conflict inflates at the ready, as does the need for control. An action we must be able to see to exit. The work of the state, a camouflage, deliberate patterned action, the electorate imagination, a house of mirrors. It reflects you, it use it. Our we speech speaks slant, an officially sanctioned reality, how we copes, postmodernity, it is of corporations, chemicals, and implanted need. And oh, after all that honey, can we not avow it truly? Fate can do us. Its designers specialize in resource acumen, monetary shrapnel. We is a consumer. We is civility enforcer, a voter, and a letter. With direct windows out the sides of those superior mouths, the pre-arranged jaws, us's constructs pulse red, and again, us's bodies spin to fit dictation. Only the broken remain, lining the streets, holding vigilant. The thing is, the contract is binding, only if we is bound. Thank you.